and welcome to Pulling Power, where this week we're in Hawaii.
Also in the show, we like to touch paper and blast off in the very latest Mitsubishi Evo IX.
Makes you feel like you are a proper racing driver.
And we strip away the supercar clothes to reveal the bargain price family saloon lurking underneath. Could this be Britain's best value car? Plus, we visit a little bit of rural England where there'll always be a red flag flying.
This week we're driving a car that's so ominous that even he didn't know what it was called.
I mean, look at this. Cover up that badge and you could be looking at anything. A Renault, it could be a Nissan, a Toyota. I mean, this is automotive bland.
Actually, it's a Mitsubishi Lancer, a car that for some reason appears to have fallen off your radar screens.
Which is one of the reasons why we brought it here, to Jodrell Bank, the site of Britain's largest radio telescope. And I tell you, the guys who work here, never mind finding a needle in a haystack, they could find a needle on the moon.
The plan is that Mike's going to go to the control room and I'm going to take the little Lancer for a drive. Hopefully, we can get this car back on the radar map and find out what you lot are missing.
This extremely powerful radio telescope can see millions of light years into space. And at the front end, they've been testing a box of tricks developed by Birmingham University that makes it even more sensitive. Well, I'm not going to be travelling to another galaxy to get spotted. I'm going to see if they can pick me up zigzagging my way across the Midlands.
So, Mark, Brewer's out there driving that Mitsu. Can you pick him up on your system?
No, can't see him at all. Nothing on the scope.
That's very strange. He's not on this one either. But Brewer, you out there?
Yeah, I'm here, Mike.
Can't see you at all, mate.
Well, of course you can see me on a big metal car. It's easy to spot.
I certainly can't see you, mate.
It's got everything, this car. I've got 4 electric windows, I've even got electric mirrors, and I've got central locking.
Mike, can you hear me? Are you there?
Mike, surely you can see me.
We can't see him. We can't get him on this scope.
Listen, I'm in a car that's got metallic paint, for crying out loud. I've also got 15-inch alloy wheels. Surely they should be showing up. I've got a 5-speed gearbox, power steering, airbag in the driver's seat, airbag in the passenger seat. Are you sure you can't see me?
Well, no, mate, nothing, absolutely nothing here, and we should know. We're in the nerve centre.
Turn up again with you. I can't see the bloke. Brewer's not here, there is he?
Oh, hear me. I'm driving up and down the road right outside. I can see the telescope from here.
You sure you're not parked in a lead line
garage or something?
A lead line garage? No, I'm in the car.
He's not there, is he, Mark?
He's not there.
You ain't here. You don't
way.
exist.
Mike, listen, mate, I think I've got an idea how you can see me.
How's that, mate?
I'll come back to you.
Will I ever get this thing on the radar? Find out later. First, some globetrotting.
See this? Volcanic rock. Mountains of it, all around me. There's tons of it because I'm standing on what is probably the biggest volcanic rock in the world. Hawaii, in fact. And I've come all the way here, halfway around the world, to drive an iconic car, and like a true Brit abroad, it's raining.
But I don't give a fig about the weather because I'm getting the first drive of one of this year's most eagerly awaited new cars.
Mazda have sold 700,000 MX-5 since its launch 16 years ago. That car made the Guinness Book of Records. It's the most popular selling 2-seater sports car ever. It's a little car that I love. And the old adage says, if it ain't broken, why fix it? But Mazda have. They've introduced this. This is the brand new MX-5 Roadster, and what a cracker it is. Just look at it. It's a poem in steel. Now, Mazda could have made the biggest mistake in the world with the new MX-5, but fortunately, they haven't. If they get this car wrong, it could be curtains. But they haven't got it wrong. They've looked back at the DNA of the old MX-5 and they've copied that, and it's inherent in this car. There are a few things in this car that could make it slightly more bloated, a little bit more weighty. Things like cruise control, air conditioning, I do believe comes as standard. We've now got electric windows, electric mirrors. I mean, the mirror's only there, I can adjust it myself. All these things mean weight. And if you start adding weight to a car, when all cars evolve, they tend to get a little bit more bloated, a little bit more middle-aged. But the Mazda engineers have designed this car in such a way that they've eliminated a lot of weight throughout the chassis by using plastics and aluminium, or as the Americans like to say, aluminum. And they've made the car only 10 kilograms heavier than the previous model. That's about 5 bags of sugar, so not bad. Overall, that means that this car still handles very much like the old one, and the precision comes from the weight distribution of this car. It's exactly 50-50 split. I'm sitting slap in the middle of the car. Going into a corner, you can feel the front turning. You can feel the back just waving its little bum slightly. The steering weights up beautifully. I'm trying to find faults with it, and the only fault I can find so far is the fact that it's got a 6-speed gearbox, and I was a big fan of the old 5-speed box. This one feels great, it still feels clicky, it still feels quite punchy to get it into gear, but there was nothing wrong with the old one, so why bother changing it?
One thing the old car could have done with, though, is a bit more oomph. The chassis feels capable of handling more power, and guess what? Now it's got it.
And straight away, your eyes are drawn to this bulge in the bonnet. It's there because this car now comes with a bigger engine. We still get the familiar 1.8, but it also comes with a 2-litre out of the Mazda 3, and I can't wait to give that one a test. And just look at the shape of it. Dare I say this car is less Sharon and more Terry. It's more masculine, it's a proper car. And you know what we like in England? We like to drive with the roof off, whether it's raining or whether it's not. And the good news about this car is as simple as that. The interior aesthetics of the car are superb. We've got some plastics across the dashboard that look like they've been thought out. It looks like black onyx. We've also got a Bose sound system, which sounds awesome.
Surprisingly, the boot's capable of storing enough luggage space for a weekend away, and there's plenty of other storage spaces for bits and bobs. Only a minor emission stops it from being the perfect long-distance getaway car.
One thing that I would have liked is this steering wheel has got rake on it. You can go up and down, but it hasn't got reach. I can't pull it out towards me. And I like to have the steering wheel a little bit closer to my chest.
Prices are yet to be confirmed, but this is a car that's cheap to run and guaranteed to hold its value, if you ever decide to sell it on.
There's no denying how good the new little MX-5 looks. It looks kind of like the old one, but just more focused, more edgy, a little bit sharper. I love the way it sets itself against this Hawaiian backdrop. Green, lush grass, black volcanic rock, but it will look equally as good, I'm sure, cruising on the streets of England. So have Mazda recreated a motoring icon with the new MX-5? Is it going to sell in the same kind of numbers? And more importantly, is it as good to drive as the old one? Yes, yes, and yes.
Back in our Mitsubishi. After crisscrossing the Midlands, I failed spectacularly to get this motor on the radar.
Nothing on the scope.
That's very strange. He's not on this one either. But Brewer, you out there?
Yeah, I'm here, Mike.
Can't see you at all, mate.
Desperate times call for desperate measures.
Mike, I can't get any more reflective than I am right now. Surely you're picking me up on radar.
We're looking as hard as we can. We're just not picking you up, Mikey.
Mate, I'm right outside the tracking station. I'm dressed like the spaceman. Surely you can see me.
Oh, I just can't see you.
Mike, I don't understand why you can't see me, but this car's so good, you must have a go.
You know, Mike's absolutely right. This thing is kitted out with all the options and extras you could realistically ever want in an everyday motor car. It is an everyday motor car. While there are lots of things that come as standard, one of those things is not, I repeat, not excitement. This is not a word that applies to this car. This car is boringly reliable, but I tell you something, that's what a lot of people want from a motor car, something they can rely on, something that is unbelievably bland but efficient at what it does. But I tell you, if excitement doesn't come as standard, value for money certainly does. I can't honestly believe they're making any real profit on this. It's almost like a cost price car.
Now, Mike and I have been harping on about value for money, but what we haven't told you so far is the price. So what do you reckon for this Mondeo rival? 14, 15 grand? Well, what if I say this car could be yours for 12 grand? Impressed? Well, how about if I told you it can be bought brand new with aircon, central lock-in, power steering, CD player, keyless entry, ABS alloys and a 3-year warranty for a whisker under 10 grand, less than a similar spec Nissan Micra. And remember, if this styling doesn't float your boat, you can always tell your neighbours it's the no-frills version of that awesome Evo IX.
Join us after the break when we see if we can get the Mitsubishi Lancer well and truly on the radar screens and we take its bigger, more powerful brother for a bit of a blast.
I can't help wondering why this car seems to be stuck in a blind spot over the edge of the horizon, on another planet. The real world is the family trip to the seaside, squeezing in 2 or 3 kids, plus all the luggage.
And this is where this car is really going to excel, because there are a lot of people out there who've never been able to afford decent, largish family saloons from new. They've always had to settle for second-hand Mondeos or whatever. This thing enables them to come in with a brand new, Japanese-built, high-quality, proper family saloon car. Incredible, really. You could run it for 10 years. It'd cost you $1,000 a year. You might clock up 100,000 miles. It would still have a few thousand miles left in it at the end of that 10-year period. You'd still get a couple of grand for it. I mean, on that basis, this is a car that you could run for less than £1,000 a year.
Now, we keep banging on about value for money, but how do the numbers stack up against some of its obvious rivals? Like Toyota's Corolla or Peugeot's 307, you're looking at savings of up to $3.5 grand for a car with an equivalent spec.
This car really does work. Forget the excitement. Think about value for money. Mr. Brewer's right. It's got it. Let's go and find him, shall we?
Earlier in the show, we put Mazda's cracking new MX-5 through its paces. It's a car that's really lacking in just one thing, a serious rival. So we've scratched our heads and come up with this, Vauxhall's all-new Tigra. The car looks far sharper than the old model, and now it's a bit of a head-turner. It's based on the same underpinnings as the current Corsa, so don't expect the same hardcore thrills that you get from the Mazda. But the Tigra does score high in other areas. We like the electrically operated steel roof, which is a doddle to use and improves security, and running costs are sensible thanks to particularly low insurance groups, which will impress younger buyers. It's a good effort by Vauxhall, but ultimately it doesn't stir the soul in the same way as the MX-5 does. It makes you want to drive it even when you don't need to, just for the sheer fun of it.
Still no sign of Mr. B, but back in the control room, all hell's broken loose.
It's all gone pear-shaped. What the earth is going on? Where the hell is Brewer? He's vanished off the face of the earth.
I don't know. It's gone mad.
Hold on a minute. What the hell is that on your screen?
There he is.
What the hell is he in there? What is he in?
I bet you can see me now. Yeah, I really bet you can see me now, because I must be breaking that radar station with what I'm driving. It's hard to believe that underneath this is the same Mitsubishi Lancer as what we've been testing in the program, because this is the absolutely awesome Mitsubishi Evo IX. Oh, look at that drift. Absolutely awesome. And what a bit of kit it is. And if you're wondering why I got the silly crash helmet on, that's because I've come to a racing circuit to put it through its paces. Now, there's lots of circuits all over the Midlands. You can go and do a track day, but I've come to Alton Park to give this baby a run for its money. This really is the wolf in sheep's clothing. Absolutely stunning. Now, this car's got a 2-litre, 4-cylinder turbo engine, It produces just over 300 brake horsepower, which means it will sprint from 0 to 60 in 4.7 seconds, and it has a top speed of a capped, you ready for this, 157 miles an hour. Who wants to go that fast? I'll never know. I couldn't get up to that speed on this circuit. Oh, makes you feel like you are a proper racing driver. Point to point, it's absolutely awesome. I'd be amazed if there's any cars out there that can beat this, and I'm talking the likes of Porsche, Aston Martin, all of them, because this car's got tremendous grip, tremendous grunt. It really does push you. Look at that. Oh, awesome. Really does push you in the back of your chair in between every gear change. Look like a cracking driver. But then I am a cracking driver. What am I on about? I'm fantastic. And Michael, I bet your radar station right now is almost breaking. I'll be surprised if there's not smoke coming out of it, because this car is well and truly on the radar. Awesome stuff. Awesome!
This year, one very unusual car company is celebrating a milestone and also rediscovering its heritage.
Well, an awful lot of heritage, 100 years worth of it, in fact. But can you, as I cover up the badge, can you guess the car? Tinges of Austin, Talbot, perhaps? 99 years old, this one. Any thoughts? Let's move forward, shall we, to the 30s, and a very French influence, a touch of Citroën, perhaps? Again, you couldn't be more wrong. Well, let's move on to the late 50s, shall we? I know what you're thinking. Suspicious red colour, Italian lines, early Ferrari, perhaps? Wrong again.
So here's one last clue. This firm has invested millions in a state-of-the-art headquarters in, of all places, Milton Keynes, where it also has a space-age technology centre.
Well, have you guessed yet? I'll be surprised if you had, because we're talking about a company that's been around for precisely 100 years. It's a company from the old Czechoslovakia, now, of course, the Czech Republic. Who else but Skoda?
In the early days, the company had a reputation for building solid and very stylish motors in Czechoslovakia. But after the Second World War, Skoda fell under Soviet control and things went downhill fast.
Well, you know, in the 70s and mid-80s in particular, and very, very early 90s, no self-respecting comedian would go on stage without a joke or two in his repertoire relating to dear old Skoda. And it was very, very unfair, because they were very quirky, these cars. They were very, very different, but there was something quite redeeming about them.
These people are East European car enthusiasts, and they've gathered at Stanford Hall, Leicestershire, to celebrate the heyday of Soviet car production. And the biggest contingent is the Skoda Owners Club.
Yes, I bought my first one in 1972, an S100. Cost me £700. I was running a British-made car in those days, but I decided they seemed attractive, competitive price, good warranty, 2-year warranty on them, which you didn't get with a British car in those days. And I was tempted, and I've stayed with the brand ever since.
For most enthusiasts, wind in the hair motoring means a classic MGB or E-Type Jag. For others, it's a convertible Skoda.
They're just cheap to run. They're not very quick, but they'll keep up with the motorway traffic. I mean, you can do 70 all day in them, but they're just fun. It's something different. Not everyone's got one. And in a funny sort of way, I think I like people taking the mickey out of them. A lot of the younger children now, they don't know what they are, so they don't even take the mickey anymore. They just think it's a cool car, because they've never seen them.
Anyone thinking about buying themselves a slice of East European nostalgia should bear in mind that Skodas aren't the only option. There are Trabants, for example, and even toy cars to tempt you. But some people want more. They want individuality. They want to make a big statement. They want a retired East German mobile saw testing laboratory.
Pretty expensive to run, 15 to the gallon. But apart from that, it's just logistics of keeping it somewhere.
And the reason for buying it?
I don't know, really. I want a bigger toy than everyone else, really.
One of the best entries into this type of motoring is to buy a classic Skoda. Parts are reasonably easy to find, and a good runner might cost you about £1,000. Less if you're prepared to get your hands dirty. But for most of us, the best way to own a Skoda is to stick with a modern era of cars which, under VW's guidance, are built to even higher standards than the parent company's own motors in Germany.
When you look around here, couldn't be more different really, could it? This is the motor industry in 2005. All right, they don't make cars here, but we're in the southern half of the Midlands. And, you know, look around this place and it looks more like a, I don't know, some high-tech art gallery or funky LA hotel. This, like I said, is the motor industry. This is just one tiny part of the Skoda operation here in Milton Keynes. And this is just, if you like, their university, the bit where they train up the so-called grease monkeys, except they're not monkeys and there is no grease. The place even smells beautiful. And I tell you could eat your dinner off this floor.
I've been out to the factory in the Czech Republic where cars like the Octavia are churned out, and I can vouch for the quality of the build. They're the common sense car for people who put ease of ownership above badge snobbery. I just wish the company could inject a little bit more of that good old-fashioned flair.
Should this car be on the radar screen? Does it deserve to be? Abso-blooming-lutely. For 9,999 quid, it's unbelievable value for money. It's not exciting, it's not a performance car, but for 10 grand, considering the equipment and the size of the car, well, and also it does 40 to the gallon, it's as cheap as chips.
Talking about chips, this car must have one in the engine that makes it go like a bat out of hell. To drive this car on a circuit was a real hoot, but let's not forget, it does cost £20,000 more than that one.
That means you can have 3 of these for the price of 1 of those.
And it only returns about 20 miles to the gallon, so you need a very big wallet to go and run it. This car, to drive to the shops, feels like an event. It's not so much on the radar screens, it's also on the radar guns up and down the country. Well, we hope you've enjoyed this pulling power. We certainly have, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Ta-ra.
For the latest motoring news, reviews and road tests, visit itv.com/motoring. Next tonight, Dustin Hoffman and John Voight star in the Oscar-winning drama Midnight Cowboy.